Welcome to the Bass Thug Podcast. In today's episode we are speaking with CALMDOWNKIDDER of Freeman and Tinfoil Hat Brigade. We talk about chiptune shows in the UK, playing shows in China, and going to Costa Rica on a whim. It's a travel-filled episode you don't want to miss.
These fake intros are always really fun. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Bass Thug Podcast. This week, we have a very special guest from Liverpool.
Hey!
Okay. James Bentley, a.k.a. CALMDOWNKIDDER. A big wheel in the chiptune scene, as I recall. I met you at Blipfest 2008 for the first time.
Yeah, that's right. We briefly spoke there. I think we've got a photo together in a photo booth, if I remember right.
Possible.
I was trying to find it before, but I couldn't. I think it's on me. It's on a backup of a backup of a backup somewhere.
Oh my god!
As soon as I find it, I'll send it over.
Cool. So, how are you? How's life? Even though I already asked that in the pre-show.
Just like one of the first things is it's quite like sort of fresh news. So obviously it's quite sort of upsetting for like the UK chip scene in particular. But a friend of mine, Ewan Brown, aka Cerebral Scars, he passed away last week. This week, sorry. So yeah, that's kind of quite fresh, sort of upsetting news, but. Already, like, he sort of was known in graffiti and art circles all around, like, his where he lived, Newcastle, which is about, like, 3 hours away from Liverpool. So, like, already a big giant wall in Newcastle has been graffitied with, like, Ewan in massive letters, and people are, like, tagging it and, you know, paying respects and all that. So, obviously, like, you know, the community sort of, you know, got together in a big way. Hopefully some other stuff's going to be happening soon, like, with regards to chiptune and that, but that's obviously, you know, very early days, and obviously everybody's still very upset by the news, but, you know, like, obviously trying to think about the good stuff as well.
Yeah, you were saying he was a young guy, huh?
Yeah, he was 27, so, like, just a few years younger than me. I'd known him for, like, 9 or 10 years, like, through chiptune, so, like, he'd put on shows in Newcastle, he'd play shows in Liverpool, I put one of his releases on CALMDOWNKIDDER Records, so somebody I spoke to, like, somebody hadn't been in touch with as much, like, in recent years, but, before Christmas, he sort of got in touch. He sent a card, which was really nice. And obviously, in hindsight, you can wonder, is that him sorting stuff out? But hopefully not. So recently talked to him, but not like too often. So it was obviously still very sad to hear because, you know, obviously nobody should be dying that young.
Yeah, no matter what. God, like 27 is when you start finding your stride, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's obviously that that'll suck shit basically, but. Yeah, like, outside of that news, like, yeah, doing alright, working full-time, I've not done, like, sort of music stuff for a while, like, at least chiptune-wise. The last show I put on was 2 years ago with another band I did, but also C-Trix and Brightface came to that, so they were in the UK at the time, so it was, like, a no-brainer for them to come and play, so that was good fun, and obviously, they like hanging out in Liverpool and stuff, so that was good. So yeah, at the moment, like, I've got my main band that I'm in is Freeman, which is it's a MIDI synth, a singer, and 2 drummers, and that's sort of the thing I'm working on at the moment, I guess, like, actively. I was also in a tennis punk band, Boris Becker, for a while.
What the fuck is tennis punk? What is that?
Yeah, so like, when me and my friend met in like community college, like 2007. 3 of us always thought like it'd be because there were quite a few bands at the time that had like names of like random celebrities. Like there was a band called Pat Sharp, and Pat Sharp's like a kids TV presenter from the 90s in the UK. Okay. I think like nobody would have heard of him outside of the UK, but like UK people would be like, oh yeah, Pat Sharp, yeah. So there's like a band called that and daft stuff like that, and we always thought like it'd be funny to have a band called Boris Becker because, you know, it's a nice word to say. And he's obviously like a funny figure in tennis and stuff, so it was a good idea. It was never intended to be like a tennis-related band. It was just sort of, it was a good name. But then that never happened for years and years until I met like another friend. I spoke to him about it, and he was like semi on board. But then we did some practice, and he was like really on board. So we ended up making it about tennis as well. So we released a tennis-themed EP, First Serve EP, and that was, and then we played that gig, the one that I mentioned, the last show I put on. And that was like we dressed in all white tennis gear, I got like my friend from Morgan Freeman to do like a photo shoot with us, like all around tennis courts and that.
Oh wow!
Or like the locals having a great time, heckling and that. But no, yeah, it was really good fun.
So you were telling me you guys played in China?
So this is Morgan Freeman. So they've been a band for ages, since I think 2005 and beyond. I was a fairly new member, but that's been about 5 or 6 years
what
now.
Were you doing, singing? You were
since
singing,
I joined.
Right? You were singing?
No, so drumming. So there's a singer, there's a MIDI synthesizer, a Yamaha QI 700, and there's 2 live drummers as well. So I'm one of the live drummers. It makes a bigger impact with 2 live drummers, and plus we always drum standing up. So there's no bass drum.
So you guys
it's
are
just like a floor tom snare and cymbals is like what we both have.
Yeah. It's like Slipknot. Don't they have 2 standing drummers or something?
Yeah. I suppose I'm the clown guy of Morgan Freeman. That's probably a fair comparison to make.
What was it like playing in China? How the fuck did that happen? And did the government give you crap, or was it
No. Nothing as controversial as that. It was so. I originally met Morgan Freeman at a festival, a free festival in Liverpool. We were like the weird music stage, basically. It was anybody that was miscellaneous and didn't really have a outright genre kind of got shoved to this one stage, which ended up being really fun. They sort of Morgan Freeman aren't really we don't really hang out and watch bands and stuff because I don't know. But then somebody was watching. One of the guys was watching me, and he said to the guy, because I was doing my the Tinfoil Hat Brigade, my Game Boy project. That's what I was playing at the time.
Oh yeah.
Because that's me shouting on a mic and having a Game Boy, doing a big noisy punk type stuff. So one of the guys in the band was like, "Oh shit!" He got everybody else to come and watch me, and then they chatted to me afterwards, and we sort of became friends quite quickly, and we were just making fun of all the other bands and stuff like that. And then I stuck around. I was going to leave, you see, but I stuck around to watch them. They got kicked off midway through the set, and I was already "Oh, these guys are great."
Why did they get kicked out?
We became friends, and then they asked me to join.
Why did they get kicked off?
Oh, sorry, what?
You said, why did they get kicked out?
Oh, right, yeah. So this was it was one of these weird festivals where people had to pay to get in, but nobody was getting paid. None of the musicians were getting paid, and obviously I put on shows myself, so I appreciate it can be a pain to it's still everything costs a lot of money and everything like that. But this Morgan Freeman, I signed up to play, sort of knowing that it was going to be free and all that, because I was just wanting to play shows and stuff. So I was obviously happy with the arrangement, but they invited Morgan Freeman to play, and Morgan Freeman weren't getting paid. Okay. So they wrote a song specifically for this show called "We're Not Getting Paid."
Oh wow!
And they described the situation, what happened, because they were even just asking for bus fare, because they were all living in the Wirral, which is the next city over to Liverpool. Okay. So they weren't even getting that, so they were just a bit sort of cheesed off at sort of the lack of respect of not even getting any basic level of payment. Yeah. So they wrote a song called "We're Not Getting Paid," and then they got kicked off shortly after that. But they had a really good reception, so it did seem purely just because the festival weren't too happy with them being called out on the shit. So yeah, we ended up terrorizing that promoter for a while, which was good fun. But yeah, and that's obviously once they did that, I was oh wow, these guys are amazing. So yeah, became friends after that, and then one of their drummers had to go. He went to uni very far away, so they asked me to play, and I've been in the band ever since.
Oh, that's great. That's a cool story.
That's linking to China. Sorry, yeah. Well, one of the other bands who played that festival, they were going to play China, but then they split up. So they sort of said on Facebook, I think, anybody want to play China? Somebody tagged the singer of our band in, Simon, and we had a discussion, and we just thought, well, we'll just send him an email, because the worst case scenario, we've wasted 30 minutes writing an email. Yeah. And they just say, no thanks, or they just ignore it. But we wrote the email, just linked to some tracks and all that, sent it over, and then a few hours later they were yeah, sound, yeah, you can come over. So we were oh, right, okay, we didn't quite expect that.
That's crazy.
And this is Chongqing, China, That's genuinely the name of the place name. Like, that's not me being racist. It's actually called Chongqing.
Okay.
Which I know sounds dodgy,
Yeah.
but that's genuinely what it's called.
Yeah.
So it's CHONGQING, but they all called it Chongqing, so that's what we did.
Yeah.
So this is like full-on mainland rural China. This isn't like a sort of Beijing type place where you'd imagine it'd be quite cosmopolitan and quite westernized. This was fairly full-on China.
Oh, really?
So it was quite a shock. One of the worst things I saw was they have like street food stalls.
Okay.
And sort of your standard generic meat on a stick. Like, couldn't tell what it was.
Okay.
At the time, I wasn't a veggie, but the other guys in the band were a veggie, so I just thought, for the sake of easiness, I'll just become a vegetarian for the week, which is quite confusing for the Chinese guys, because I didn't want to, make it more confusing than it already was. So obviously we avoided the street food, but we saw the person in charge of the stall, like, cleaning out the kebab sticks in a public bathroom sink.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, oh man, that's pretty shocking. So yeah, luckily we didn't go for that. We just kind of stuck to supermarket bought crisps, and like we had this really horrible pizza because they don't really do dairy over there.
Okay.
So like cheese is like a abhorrent concept.
Oh,
but
really?
we found like a pizza restaurant, and we were just like, we kept saying to them, we just want a pizza, like just a plain pizza, just tomato and cheese. And it genuinely took about 20 minutes, because we had a Chinese representative with us who spoke like the language, and he spoke a little bit of English but not very well, and we obviously didn't have a word of Chinese between us. So it took about 20 minutes to order a pizza. And it came and then obviously eventually they went to the back, they got it cooked, it came out. It was just like, there was no tomato, it was almost like cheese and mayo, we think.
Oh, wow.
And for some reason, in the middle, they just put a walnut on there.
Oh, wow.
So we were like, we don't know where the walnut came from, but we had a very horrible pizza. But in comparison to everything else, it was like the tastiest thing we'd eaten in a while.
Oh, I would think that like your style of music would like lower someone's social credit. No. Right?
Yeah, well, we've ended up going twice. So 2015, 2017. So I don't know if we were quite on the that sort of social score thing at that point.
Okay.
Well, I think that it's just so huge that I don't know how they could genuinely track everything down. I suppose the technology is at the point now where you probably can, but it's just so vast and immense. Like, it's crazy. Like it took about like an hour and a half, 2 hours to drive from the airport to the hotel and that, and there's just so many buildings getting made.
Oh, wow.
And even the airport from like 2015, it was like a proper ramshackle operation, like all really dodgy.
Okay.
But 2000, and when we went 2 years later, the airport had completely changed, and it was like this ultra slick, ultra corporate. Like, that airport wouldn't stick it. If that was in America, you'd just be like, this is a really nice airport, and this is like in the middle of rural. I think like Chongqing is the world's fastest growing city, so obviously loads of money's being pumped in. Who knows from where? Oh, but like the airport was really slick 2 years later, but sadly the hotel wasn't.
Oh no. What kind of crowd was there?
So it was part of a university. So it's the Chongqing University of Post and Telecommunications, I believe it's called.
Okay.
So it's a Chinese university. They were the ones putting it on, so they were the ones who like flew us over and everything.
Oh wow!
They paid for the flights, they paid for the hotel,
shit,
and they paid for like food as well. So all we had to do was like bring some money for spends, and it's China's quite cheap, so we didn't need to bring that much money. It was pretty good, but we didn't like really have the opportunity to buy anything either.
Okay.
I think we bought like a weird instrument, and then that was it. Like I couldn't even find anything with like the word Chongqing on it, just purely from like a tourist point of view.
Okay.
So I ended up buying a Starbucks mug that had Chongqing on it. That was the only thing we could find.
Amazing.
That was like vaguely touristy.
Yeah.
So I've still got a Starbucks mug, which is obviously, capitalism rules, baby.
Yeah.
So it was like crazy going there. It was like,
was it like students or like what? Because look, the only thing I know about China is like from TikTok. It's like the only shit I know about China. Yeah.
I'm still not on TikTok, so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, it's a university crowd. The first night that was sort of there, they had like a pre-show almost, so it was like the first gig we played was all outdoors, but this pre-show was like this big outdoor event. Like, it must have been thousands of people sat down watching it all. We almost got asked to play that, but I think just because we just arrived that day, it was a bit like, oh no, we're not going to be any good, sorry. So that kind of got swerved off quite luckily. But it was like I think like all the university dignitaries were there. It was like, it seemed like quite a big full-on event. Oh, wow. And it was just a really weird mix. So you had all these like slick dance troupe type acts, like sort of dancing to like modern EDM style music and all that. Okay. And then you have like this guy doing this really obviously like traditional Chinese routine. Okay. With just like doing it was singing and clapping and dancing and all that. Okay. It was just like this really strange mixture. Yeah. So we like didn't know what to make out of it, and especially because like we didn't know a lick of Chinese. Yeah. So there was obviously that aspect as well. And we were treated nice, don't get me wrong. Like we had students who were assigned to us. Like they were English students, so obviously I suppose it helped them like speaking to actual main English speakers. But like loads of the teachers were like there was a few American teachers, there was an English teacher there, a British teacher there. So like there was a few people like we were chatting to who knew English, like, so that was kind of, it made it a bit more relaxing. Yeah. But yeah, it was a big like university crowd. But the first we played 2 shows the first time we were there. The first show was like an outdoor show. It was in it felt like the touristy bit of Chongqing, but at the same time it wasn't. I don't know. It was like they had all like traditional style temple buildings, but they didn't quite look real. I don't know if they like knocked down genuine temples to put up like fake style ones. Oh wow, that's what it felt like. It was like this. It was this huge outdoor stage. Bearing in mind, like we're like a fairly weird pop MIDI band. So we like play obviously songs off a genuine MIDI synthesizer, okay. 2 live drummers, and at the time 2 singers. So we're like quite a weird pop sounding band. They put us on as like the headliner because we were from Britain. Oh wow! And every other band who played was like a full-on metal band. Oh really? Like they really like the metal over there. It's like that kind of sort of early 2000s new metal type of stuff. Oh, like, some of it was like a bit more like traditional metal, but like it was a very big metal sort of show anyway. And then we were like the headline band, and we were playing to thousands of people. Wow. And we were like, "Oh mate, what? Like, genuinely, like, what the fuck's going on?" Like, I've never been so nervous before a show because it's like, are we gonna get kicked out of the country or what? Are we gonna get thrown in some obscure Chinese prison never to be heard of again? Yeah. But we ended up going on. We played our set. We did quite a few covers just because we thought we were looking up like pop charts in China and stuff. And so obviously we played some songs that we hoped they'd know. Like we finished with Uptown Funk.
Oh really?
But yeah, Bruno Mars. So they loved that, and they loved our original stuff as well. Like it was really it was just so bizarre, just because it had been a few days before we actually got to play. We were quite late on, so obviously that nervousness builds up. Like in the UK, like every play show, we're not really arsed, but just because obviously this was China, our stomachs were all like in knots and all that, and oh wow, like, and obviously like the dodgy food as well that we weren't used to, like we didn't feel like super well as well.
Was there any alcohol there? Can you just get drunk and then go up, or what? Well, that's my remedy.
We don't really drink. Okay. Like. I don't drink that often anyway. Yeah. Like, I don't like drinking. I've done a set where I drank before I played and I didn't like it, so I don't really perform with any drink. Like, I might have 1 beer kind of thing. Okay. But, because we're not into beers, we didn't drink anything, and we didn't want to drink, like, tap water, so we just bought, like, massive bottles from the supermarket. Okay. So that's all we were drinking, basically. Oh, wow. So that kind of, I suppose that didn't help.
So did you notice like a spike in interest from the region? Like, are your band camps or SoundClouds or whatever you're using, like, do you see like traffic from China now?
Not really, no, because they don't seem to have like the Western services over there so much. Like, obviously they don't have like any Google related services.
Yeah.
Because that's all blocked over there. We had to use like a VPN to access our email while we were over there. We didn't think at the time, so only one of us bought a VPN, so we were all like on his VPN.
Oh, yeah.
Like even like trying to torrent stuff to watch in the evening, because like we just obviously didn't think about stuff like that.
Oh my god.
So yeah, no, like we did sort of join like QQ because we needed to chat to like some of the people. So that's the only thing that we had really. But no, we didn't. We haven't noticed anything like that in regard to like a interest. I think it's just more a bizarre show.
Yeah.
For the the anecdotes rather than for any, like, we didn't think of it from a, you know, oh, is this gonna, you know, improve our outlook or whatever. That we've never really been about that as a band. Like there's no actual releases for Organ Freeman. There's like one music video online, and obviously there's like YouTube gig recordings and stuff like that.
Okay.
But so we're not like really bothered in that aspect. But we just thought, you know, the opportunity to play China was too good to resist.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. So yeah, that was the first show. It was like this big outdoor show, and it was quite late on at that point. So we played our set. It got like big, you know, people were cheering and stuff. We weren't getting booed or anything like that. So obviously we were quite happy. And people were chatting to us afterwards. And if anything, it was just more like the novelty of like 4 white guys generally, just because this is like full on, you know, mainland China. No tourists go there really, or at least they probably do not. Like I think Chongqing probably get more people now, but certainly then, like there was just no people just staring at us as we were walking past. Anyway, like even before we played music or whatever. So that was quite strange.
In a good way or a bad way?
Well, just like people going like, "What the fuck's this like?" You know, because I suppose I don't know. Like, you know, I live in Liverpool's a major city, so, you know, you're not really going to look if a group of a different race of people are walking past, because, you know, it's a fairly multicultural city and all that.
It's like that in Montreal too, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, it's something that you don't really think about so much anymore, especially more like, you know, being an artist and stuff like that, where you're meeting people from abroad anyway.
Yeah.
But I suppose, like, just for them, like, seeing, because it wasn't just like one white guy, because I suppose if they see one white guy, they're just like, oh, he's probably a teacher.
Yeah.
And so they saw like the 4 of us who were quite young as well, all walking along. They were just like, what's going on? People like taking photos and stuff, just
really?
like out of curiosity. Like, so that was quite weird. And we got like obviously loads of people chatting to us and taking photos after the show as well.
Oh wow.
But yeah, no,
you
like,
posted that. You posted that on Instagram. I fucking remember that. Oh shit! I remember that photo.
Yeah. Well, that was the second time we went.
Okay.
So the first time we went, the first show was a big outdoor show.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that was like genuinely to thousands of people. There's a video of that. Like, I can send you all that afterwards.
Yeah.
So the second show was more like for the university. It was in this lecture hall. It was called like, I think it was the Bingo Lecture Theatre or something like that. I think it was called. And like the building looks massive. And then we went in, and it was like a lecture theatre type of setup. So it wasn't like a venue. It was more like a theatre / lecture theatre. So it was like there was a big stage. There wasn't much of a sound system. Like I think we had to plug into a guitar amp.
Oh wow.
Which is obviously no good for MIDI synth and vocals.
Yeah.
But we made do, and like there was no like, you know, standing up bit like the outdoor show. It was just like all seated. But that was kind of nervous for us because we've never played that type of show before. We weren't sure what the reaction was going to be. But people were sitting down for the most part, just because, you know, it's a seating venue, you can't really stand up. But people were dancing towards the end, which we thought was quite good. Just because, like, it's a very energetic live show that we do.
Yeah.
So the 2 singers, they had wireless microphones this time.
Oh, wow.
So they could jump off stage and run around, which is like what they love to do. Normally in most venues, like, it's, you know, you get a long mic cable, so it's fine to do that in like a tiny venue in the UK or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, because we had these wireless mics, they were going quite like apeshit, which was great.
The university must have loved that.
Yeah. Well, it was weird as well because we were like, we were asking them like, who are we playing with tonight for the second show, and they were like, oh no, it's just you guys.
Oh wow.
We were like, what? So it's just literally us. We were the only band that were playing. And this was like, because all the university students were like helping out during the whole festival. So I think like these shows were like just for them, just so they didn't have to do any work. Basically, they could just, you know, chill out and watch the band or whatever. That's what it seemed to be anyway. That's what we like setup seemed to be like.
Did you guys have like visas or anything that you needed, or?
Yeah, we had to, we had to get visas beforehand. But like luckily the next city over to Liverpool like has a Chinese visa office, so that was all fairly It was quite fairly simple, really. Except I had to get a new passport because my passport had been put in the wash, and they wouldn't allow it. So that was a bit annoying, having to pay for a new passport. But outside of that, there was no like controversy, or there was no. It was quite. I mean, we were a bit nervous because we'd never done that before.
Yeah.
But that we got all our visas. It was all legit. Yeah, we didn't have to like sneak it or anything like that.
Yeah,
I think we wouldn't have done that if that was the case, because we're not we're not getting thrown in a Chinese prison or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, it was all like above board, all legit. Like I've got the visas and all that. We could only stay in the country for like 30 days, and we're like, it's fine, don't worry, we've only got a week, so don't need to worry.
That's awesome. I'm sure it'd be the same fears if like someone from mainland China like went over to like Canada or the United States.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. They'd be like,
yeah.
I thought you all own guns. That's what I see in the movies. Right?
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. Like just like any strange country, as it were. Like you are going to sort of be weirded at, especially one where it's not English that they're speaking.
Yeah.
Like very few people were speaking English. Like the students were a bit more sort of like they knew some words at least. Yeah. Obviously, like because it was the English students we were speaking to.
Yeah.
So they obviously knew. Like we could obviously have conversations with them. Though it was quite sort of slow talking and all, but that's obviously that's not an issue. But no, it was a very strange experience. We went twice.
So you played in China and you played a few shows in the U.S. too, right? But not for Oregon Freeman, but for your chiptune stuff.
Yeah, so my chiptune project was the Tinfoil Hat Brigade. Well, it still is. I've just not done anything for a while. Yeah. So that's just me on a Game Boy and a microphone doing
that's
like loud.
That's a great Bandcamp album that you put out. I listened to. I'm not sure if it's I don't remember if there was multiple, but I did a deep dive in your Bandcamp a few months ago, and I remember it was like fucking really rad. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I started off doing like sort of noisy-ish music because I was just making music just because I did like gigs before I put on music. Sorry, I'll start again. I put on shows before I started making music. Like, partially the only reason why I was making music was just so I could have somebody to play a show if needed. Yeah. But like, I obviously enjoy making music and all that, so that that kind of quickly just became a thing I enjoyed doing. It was because I was just making like weirdy, noisy dance music at first, or at least my interpretation of that. But then like 10,000 Freeman and the Families from Australia like released that first Make or Break EP. I was just like, holy shit, like I sort of almost didn't realise that you didn't have to make shitty dance music on LSDJ. Yeah. So I was kind of like, oh shit, I'm just going to do what he does. So I did that.
Yeah. The album, Serious Musician, that album cover, my God.
That's me latest, and well, I say latest, that's like 5 years old now, I think. So that's the Tinfoil Hat Brigade, yeah. So I played quite a few places with her. Like I played, when at 2008, I played Blipfest, like one of the after parties.
Okay.
So that was with like ESC.
Yeah.
I think Kaz, aka Hyde from Japan, played that one. Siva played that one. Like loads of old school names. Yeah. I think Dies might have played that one. Albino Ghost Monkey, or maybe he played the main show. I don't remember. But yeah, like it was a really stacked lineup, regardless of it being Blipfest. But it was obviously all the people who were coming to the show and people knew about it, and they thought, we'll put these guys on. So that was really nice of, I think it was Ricardo Almonte and Jen De La Vega who put on that show. I hope it's them. But they were very, very gracious and very nice to put me on. And they paid me money as well, and I was like, wow, I didn't realise you could get paid to play shows. That's great. So yeah, I played that show in New York. Obviously I played a few shows in the UK. And I've also played Costa Rica with the Tinfoil Hat Brigade.
Oh, really?
Which was wild. So yeah, that's another long rambling story, which I'll go into now.
Yeah. Wait. So okay, I'm kind of stupid. Is Costa Rica, is that an American state, or is that one of these?
No, it's its own country. It's
Fuck, I'm dumb.
I think it's technically North America.
Okay.
But it's in that sort of it is south of America.
Okay.
Geographically wise, but I think it's not actually classed as South America, it's classed as North America.
Yeah. Okay, sorry about that.
Which I was disappointed about, because I thought that'd be another continent. I could be like, oh yeah, I've played this continent as well.
Yeah, okay.
But it's North America, which is fun. So it was I played a show in Edinburgh Scotland, which was the Ultra Chip Festival, which Mike Comptroller put on. And he enjoyed my stuff, so he put me on, so that was good. So this girl came from Costa Rica. Obviously, it was impressive that a girl came anyway. Yeah. But this woman came from Costa Rica, and she just came on a bill on her own, and we were all like, "What? She's come from Costa Rica to this show?" She was living in London at the time, so it was like, "Oh, she come from London to the show." She was obviously very friendly, very very chatty. Everybody got along with her really well because obviously it was somebody on her own. We wanted to make sure she was comfortable and all that. Yeah. And then she sort of said, "Yeah, if you ever come to Costa Rica, give me a shout and I'll see what I can do." And for me, if you say that to me, you can't just be polite, because I'm going to take that on board. Yeah. And I'm going to do that. So I ended up going to Costa Rica, obviously speaking to her in advance and all that, so I got to play a show. Because I was coming to America anyway. Me and my friend went to New York and Philadelphia to go to 8 Static Festival. Yeah. And also to see American Football, the emo band. They were playing reunion shows. Okay. So we went to see them in New York. Me and my friend said to each other as a joke, "Oh, yeah, we should go and see them in New York." And we kind of paused and we were like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, let's go and see them." It's
close enough, yeah.
So obviously I was making this trip to America, so I thought I'll see how much Costa Rica is as well, just flights wise and all that, and it ended up being something really ridiculously cheap, £50 extra to go to Costa Rica and fly back home from Costa Rica. So it was just yeah, fuck it, for the sake of £50 plus obviously hostels and shit like that. Yeah. We were like, yeah, let's do it. So I spoke to Elena, the woman from Costa Rica, and she was like, yeah, sound she got in touch with a promoter over there who's they've got a sort of noise scene over there. Okay. It's a noisy sort of jam band type of thing that they've got. Pirates de la Cosmos, they're really good, and they sort of said, yeah, we'll put you on. They listened to my stuff and they're like, yeah, that sound. So I ended up going over there, hanging out in Costa Rica for a week. It's a really beautiful city, beautiful country. Sorry, it was in, and then I got to play a show after that, so that was obviously really good fun. Yeah, so that was quite wild as well. It was almost like a semi-squat type of vibe, the venue. So yeah, that's always fun to play those type of shows, because for me, I'm the type of act where I don't really sort of do well at an actual chip show, because most chip shows now it's all about sort of dancey type music, and the Simple Hat Brigade's really not that. So this was more a show with sort of noise bands and weird sort of acts, so that was more my cup of tea. So it was a really fun show, and people seem to really enjoy it as well.
So you think that the scene is more dance oriented, and if you stray away from that, it's not. You got to make your own community, I guess.
I mean, you can still play those shows. Don't get me wrong. There's still sort of acts out there who will play those shows, but it's just more. I suppose a lot of people, if you go to a chiptune show, you kind of expecting it to be more of a dancey type of affair. So I think that's always been the case. Really, I mean, the UK has got such a strong dance music scene anyway. Yeah. It's kind of an extension of that. The biggest acts, at least for a while, it was Saber Pulse, Henry Home Sweet, Chipsel, and they obviously all in that sort of. Obviously, I know they're all wildly different sounding acts, but they are still that sort of. I mean, this was more a few years ago. It was more the up tempo, I think Jellica called it hypermelodic trance music.
That's pretty good.
So yeah,
but your thing is entertaining, though, right? If you go to a dance place, you don't. I guess sometimes you pay attention to sort of the DJ and the producer, but I mean, your album's sort of a. I don't want to say crust punk, but there's a punk element to it, and it's really cool. There's a. I don't know, there's character to it, right? I'd much rather see that than someone trying to sound like fucking Skrillex or something on LSDJ. There's nothing wrong with that by just my own personal taste, right?
No, of course, yeah, no, yeah, I do appreciate it, but I just mean for your average punter going to a gig,
Yeah.
Like I suppose if you're expecting like a dancing, like sometimes it works out really well. Like I play a show and people love it, and chatting to me afterwards and all that. And obviously I've made up. But sometimes you just play a show and it falls a bit flat.
Yeah.
Especially like if I'm on quite early and people are still quite sober.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, I find I'm always like, can I play a bit late? Just because if people are drunk, they kind of appreciate it a bit more.
Yeah. Or get everyone singing earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But no, like I've always found for me, like the best shows where I've got the best reactions have always been like where I'm the only chiptune related act on.
Yeah.
Like one of my favourite ever shows was like a Liverpool show, a local show, and it was like this really great event that they only did the one of. So it was like I played. It was like rap battles were happening as well.
Okay.
Like there's a sort of, I don't know if rap battles. I think it was more like 2011, 2012. I don't think it's really a thing anymore. But like rap battles were like quite big for a little bit of time, especially like on the internet and stuff like that with YouTube channels and all that. Like some of the American stuff is very like aggressive and sort of quite violent lyrics and all that. But in the UK, it was just more like taking the piss out of each other, like ripping each other, but like in a rap battle format.
Okay.
So it was more like like comedy stuff, really.
Yeah, like
Not
roast,
like outright
like
comedy, but like it was more about more about being funny. Like if somebody came in with like those genuinely aggressive, violent lyrics, people would be a bit like, "All right, mate, like relax a bit. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So yeah, like I played a show of like rap battles, and it was like weird. I think like punk bands played as well. So it was like this really sort of good mixture of all different types of acts, and that's generally for me the type of show that I seem to do better at.
Yeah.
Like both performance wise and like reaction wise as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously, it's hard trying to fight a crowd if they're just not into it, and you're trying to like do your best. But ultimately, like if it's falling flat, then it just makes you worse. I feel. But if people are into it and you're feeding off the energy and all that, then it definitely makes for a better show.
Yeah, you could probably open for like punk bands or at the very least like kind of like indie rock bands. I would, because it's like it's a good palate cleanser,
Yeah, definitely. Like I've played a show I played a show before, like supporting a load of hardcore bands. That was really good fun.
Yeah.
The guy at the time who like was in Liverpool, he was like he was big into like his hardcore band, so he'd obviously put on loads of acts. But then like he listened to my stuff and he loved it because he did like Casio stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
So he obviously related to my stuff straight away, cool. And he wanted to put me on, so I got to open for like some hardcore bands a few times. Oh, so that was really good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it's one of them. Just so sometimes like it worked out really well and people loved it. Other times it was just completely fell flat. So, but that's kind of the fun part of it. Like even just flapping and having a bad time. Oh, yeah, it sucks at the time, but then afterwards, you can laugh about it and all that.
It doesn't even really suck too bad at the time. It's so ridiculous that like you're up there in the first place for me, anyways. So if I'm bombing, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, I just more like I feel a bit, I don't know, like more, not insecure, I guess, is probably not the right word, but I don't know, like if you're on stage and it is falling flat, you just feel a bit, oh god, this is terrible. Yeah. But you're like, pretty much straight away, once you're done, you're like, oh yeah, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, you were putting this all out on your label, right?
Yeah, so I got into chiptune, like, through noise shows. Like I went to noise shows on my own when I was like 16, 17, 18.
Like Mersbow or like what?
Yeah, just like noise sort of shows. It was just like this one promoter in Liverpool who like would put on loads of weird stuff. Like they don't seem to do that much anymore, but every now and then you'll sort of see the name come up and I'll try and go to them. But this, like they were putting on shows quite regularly, so it was great. And I saw DJ Scotch Egg for the first time.
Oh my god, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
And this was like, I'd never heard of this guy before. Like I wasn't really researching the people before I went in. I just thought I'll just go to the show and like chill out. Like I was driving there as well, so I wasn't even like drinking or whatever. And like the first thing DJ Scotch Egg does is like offer me some of his spliff, and I was like, oh, thank you very much. I'm driving, so I can't, but thank you very much. And then he was showing me like this weird magazine. It was like all this arty, horrible cut up, like it was like porn, and there was like this weird sort of art book, and I was like, oh, this is cool, thanks. And then I was like, oh, he's a nice guy. And then so I went to the show afterwards, and then he played, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is like
so fucking good.
DJ Scotch Egg is so good. So he was my introduction into the music community.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not like sort of actively involved in the chip music scene per se.
Yeah, but he's like a fringe guy.
He obviously makes like Nanoloop stuff. So
yeah.
So then, like, obviously, I fell in love with like his acting. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got home, or like like the next day later, like I got online. I was like looking him up. I was like, how did he make it? What it was because he was obviously using Game Boys, but I was like, how is he making music on the Game Boy and all that? And then I found the Nanoloop forum. So I joined that, but that was kind of dead. Then I joined 8BC, and then like 8BC kind of kicked off at the same time as me joining. It felt like I think I joined quite early on. Yeah. I was like an inadvertent early adopter of 8BC, I think. And then like I just thought, oh, I love this music. I want to do more of it. Yeah. So I said like I'll put on a show because I wasn't making music at the time. And then like I posted on the forum to say like, does somebody want to play my show in Liverpool? And the first few people that like responded, it was Flamboy, Fluxin, Jellica, Henry Homesweet, and Saberpulse. Mm-hmm. So that's already a great show, and that's me. I didn't like plan that. I was just like, yeah, you can come and play, it's fine. And then I got this act on Open Bracket, who like they like done quite well at the time. They'd like played Download Festival, which is like a major metal festival in the UK. Yeah. And they'd also supported Enter Shikari, who were like quite upcoming at the time. So I sort of thought they'd, people would definitely like them and then come and see the other bands as well. So I put them on. And then I got like 96 people came to my first ever gig.
That's pretty good.
And I was like, this is like on a Wednesday night in August, oh, wow. Like the school holidays in Liverpool. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this gig looks easy. I'll just keep doing this. But obviously I never managed to get that good a turnout until like I put on festivals in Manchester and that.
Yeah.
So
it's KFC Core. That's the name of the DJ Scotch Egg.
Yeah, KFC Core cool, and Scotch Hausen, I think, as well as well.
Oh man, I'm gonna put that in the show notes. People, you have to check out this album. It's so good.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. So you were putting on festivals in Manchester. Is this the Chip Fest?
So no, Chip Fest was in Liverpool. So that was the first ever gig I put on was August 2007. So I put on a few shows since then, just with like a few decent acts. Like so, obviously Saberpulse has played, Henry Homesweet's played. When like the New York guys came over, I put them on. So Null Sleep, Starscream, and Minus Baby have played Liverpool.
Cool.
But that was one of the worst turnouts for a show because, I guess a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons was the venue closed before the show.
Oh wow!
Like obviously I put out loads of promotion and all like posters and MySpace all that, and then 2 weeks before like I called up the venue to be like what's going on guys, just want to find out about the projector and all that for visuals, and then he was like, oh yeah, it's the venue's shut down. It's like, but it hadn't even opened yet, so like the venue had shut down before it even opened somehow. So I had to change like the venue at the very last minute, which obviously doesn't help matters.
Yeah.
But that ended up being like the worst turned out for a festival I'd ever for a gig I'd ever had, and that was just when I happened to have like the Null Sleep and Minus Baby and Starscream playing. I was like, oh fuck, this sucks shit. Yeah. I think 18 people had come.
Oh wow!
And 6 of them were like my friends, so like 12 people had come essentially. Yeah, so I was like, oh fuck me, this is awful. So that put me in like a funk for like a year of just like,
oh really?
It was just like, just felt so. I mean, like they all had a good time and all that, but I just felt like shit because I don't know, like.
Well, it's not your fault, dude. It's not your fault.
No, I know, I get that, but it's still you still feel like shit, kind of thing. But yeah, that obviously that did suck a lot. But no, so then a few years later, I played a show in Manchester with Adrian he did Superbyte shows. He did Megabyte shows. And then we decided, we ended up speaking to each other more, and we said, let's do a festival. So we did this thing where we put on, one gig in Liverpool and one gig in Manchester the day after. Mm-hmm. So that was, the first sort of aspect of it, but nobody came to, not that many people came to both shows. I think, about 5 people came to both shows. Okay. So then we sort of said, let's do something similar next year, but I just said, let's do it all in Manchester. Manchester's about an hour's drive from Liverpool, and that's, a much bigger city. Like, 'cause it's got like bigger transport links. It's got it's got more people. So it made more sense to like do the show in Manchester rather than Liverpool.
Okay.
So us two put on that show, Superbike. So that became Superbike Festival, which we did for a few years, and that was like that had like really great lineups. That had like Bit Shifter came over, Anna Managuchi came over, I'm Your Destruction, Trey Frey. And like that had been the best turnout I'd had for shows, which is obviously great collaborating with Adrian, who was like a really talented guy. Like he did 90% of the work. Don't get me wrong, but it was great to like finally have a show that felt justified for like the amount of love I have like for chiptune and all that.
Yeah.
And like it was obviously heartbreaking putting on shows that like not that many people had come to, but like to finally have like the venue sold out over the weekend, so that was obviously we were made up for that, and that was like 400 odd people. So it was a crazy good lineup, crazy good turnout. It just felt like it felt amazing. So that was, but
awesome.
we only did that for a few years.
Yeah.
And we just can't. We kind of ended up stopping just because it's one of those things where you pay the artist, you pay the venue and all that, and there was just no money left at the end.
Yeah.
So you're like no money to like reinvest, no money to pay us, kind of thing. Like we ended up going in quite a bit of debt for it, and that's even with funding and all that. So it was kind of like there was only two options. It was like either ramp up the money, ramp up the charges and all that, or just stop putting them on.
Yeah. So
we just kind of thought, we'll just sort of kind of call it a day.
Yeah.
So that was like the last sort of big show I did, and then I've done a few since then, but that's about it.
Where is chiptune at this point in time in like 2019?
Well, I've only been keeping an eye on it briefly, really, not like sort of too often. Like, because obviously when I got into it, like there was loads of different little net labels, and they've kind of diminished a bit, really, because like Bandcamp's kind of become so all-encompassing. Obviously, Bandcamp's a fantastic service, but it's definitely sort of killed the net label a little bit. Hopefully, like people will come back to it and see like somewhere that's independently hosted is a good thing. Yeah, because obviously Bandcamp's great at the moment and it's fantastic, and it is an amazing service. I use it myself, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the way like all web companies go at some point,
for sure,
they're probably going to be bought out by some big some big shitty corporation that doesn't know what to do with it, and it just turns into shit.
It's inevitable.
Again, like I don't want that to happen, obviously, but it feels like almost inevitable that will happen at some point. So then maybe that'll bring back sort of net labels in a sense, because people will be like, oh, we should probably have smaller, independently hosted places and all that.
My thing is with Bandcamp is I wish Bandcamp and SoundCloud could like join forces, because I find both sites are better at the thing that the other site is bad at. Like for instance, on Bandcamp, if you click on any link, the song stops playing. So you can't really listen to albums on Bandcamp if you're like just farting around trying to discover shit, right? You got to open up all the
definitely
and stuff, and that's so annoying. I wish they would fucking fix that. And I hear you. There's like a lot of stuff too, like where I don't know. It seems like at any point they'll be bought up by like Microsoft or something.
Obviously don't want it to, but it does seem inevitable because it is such a good service, and obviously people know about that. Because I think even like chiptune acts have like put their old stuff on Bandcamp and like been blown away by the good reception it gets, and like because Bandcamp do like articles, and they've done like loads of articles about chip music stuff, which obviously really helps if a load of people read the article and then go, oh, let's listen to this, let's buy this. And it's obviously the whole pay your own way is amazing. Like that's definitely a good thing, but you're just kind of almost waiting for the decline, but not that you want it to happen, but it almost feels inevitable.
Well, before with chiptune, you would have to go to 8BC or even micromusic.net, and people would just like upload the one song, for the week, and that's
definitely. Like I did like the 8BC charts type of things. That was quite fun. A lot of it, like because what was it? There was like obviously the most liked track of the week, but I'm sure there was like a most controversial track or something like that.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, no, it has been a long time.
I just remember I used to visit the site, and then like I kind of tuned out because of school or something, and then I came back 2 years later, and there was all this like everything was just fucked, and I was like, okay. I remember what happened. I went into an IRC room. You were there, And there was like 5 people in the room. I was like, "Oh, what happened, everybody?" And then you're like, "No, join this IRC room." And then I joined the IRC room, and I didn't recognize any of the names, so I was just like, "Whatever."
Oh yeah, yeah. I think like 'cause even the IRC seems to be dead now. Like it's more about Discord channels now.
Oh god.
Like there's a good Discord channel that's like, well, it's not very busy, but it seems to be a bit more active than
what's
like
the name
IRC
of it?
channels are nowadays.
Is it secret or what?
No. I think Cubby set it up himself, like the musician Cubby. So I think it's called like Cubby's, Discord or whatever.
Okay.
What's it called? Oh yeah, it's called Chip Relay Satellite.
Chip Relay Satellite.
I'll send you a link to it right now.
Right.
Chip Relay. How do I send the message from this?
On Skype.
Oh yeah.
That's all my guests. They want to go over Discord, but I'm like, I'm stuck on Skype. I'm just like, what the fuck? Discord is too crazy for me. I don't know. There's too much shit going on. It's like either use IRC or don't communicate with me. That's basically how it goes.
I think you would prefer that, wouldn't like definitely.
I'll check it out.
There's like too much shit out there. It's definitely like, too much stuff in regards to, I don't know, like content and everything now, because even like 2007, 2008, it didn't feel like there was so much fucking shit to like consume and watch or whatever. Like YouTube was still very much in its infancy. Like a video on YouTube would still be a novelty kind of thing. Like a meme would be a novelty kind of thing, and it'd last for weeks or months. And now it's like literally stuff can last for less than a day. You can see the decline happen like in real time.
Crystal Castles was a meme for like a month. Crystal Castles was like a meme for like a month. Remember that?
Like of course, like Timbaland as well. It was always a good one.
So
and like,
oh sorry,
no, it's just like sort of saying like just more like because every now and then like if somebody would like nick chip music stuff and then get semi-popular and people would then call them out on the shit. And I remember like there was one We Were Once Robots. It was like this young girl from Britain who was like nicking shit, and I think the funny thing about her, she had like a live performance video, and I think it was like all weird shit on the table. There was like a Mega Drive controller and stuff like that which wasn't linked to anything. And I think the Game Boy she was playing didn't even have a cartridge in. So like it obviously got like people were taking a piss out of it loads, and she obviously deleted everything because the game was up, she was rumbled and all that.
That's so
but then, like, somebody posted recently on the chipmusic.org forum, so like, oh, this person's back. But then everybody was just like, nobody's asked anymore, mate, because she wasn't like stealing stuff. She was just like a generic DJ page or whatever. But this person was really trying to bring back this hatred for this person, and it's just like, nobody like cares anymore. It was funny at the time, but
it's so weird. It's so weird
bringing it up now.
Yeah, it's so weird to like sample like chiptune artists and not to sample like Nintendo music, because I feel like you could get away with sampling Ninja Gaiden, but if you were to sample like Bit Shifter or something, everyone's gonna, Well,
I suppose it was just more like, if it was like a generic, like a sort of small producer from nowhere. I think it was like the chip music stuff where people were nicking stuff. It was just more. I think they were just nicking tracks wholesale.
Okay.
It wasn't like even a controversy if they were sampling stuff.
Okay.
I think obviously Crystal Castles was, because they ended up being quite really popular and playing like big festivals, and they obviously seem to be doing well out of it.
They fucking played Skydome in Toronto. That's like a huge fucking stadium. It's like 60,000 people or something.
Yeah, I think they played like Glastonbury and Leeds and Reading Festival, which are like major festivals in the UK. So obviously I think people were upset that like a bigger act was stealing from smaller acts. But I think like obviously if a smaller act is sampling other people, I don't think anybody's that arsed, but I suppose it's more if they get popular, then it's like, well, that's kind of shit, because you nick that from Kovacs or Lobat or whatever Crystal Castles were stealing from,
and not even attributing it to the person.
No, that's it. Yeah, like not, because I think like Nitro 2K01 was it? Like he did some really in-depth research into it, like going so far as to like check the fucking the sample, not the sample files, but like the actual wavelengths and frequencies of it all to prove that it was definitely these samples that they were stealing. Because I think they were just like denying it outright. That was probably what they were told by the HR people, to just be like, just deny it outright, it's fine. It'll all blow over. And it did. But now I think they're cancelled for other reasons, aren't they? So I think like he hit her or something like that, so I think they're not a thing anymore.
So much drama, man. Anyways.
Yeah, definitely.
So what are you doing these days? You said you're focusing on Oregon Freeman?
Yeah, so that's a band I'm in. Yeah, like we're playing sort of just a few shows locally. Like again, like we don't really actively chase shows, so it's just more if somebody messages us and the show doesn't sound completely awful, we'll be like, yeah, that sounds good, we'll play that. But outside of that, like we don't really actively chase shows, or we don't really actively release music, so it's just more like we'll practice and hang out and stuff, and then we'll just play the odd show every now and then.
And you don't have like a Bandcamp or anything?
No, like we don't record stuff. There's a song Pop Goblin which is on YouTube. That was before I joined. Like they made a music video of that one, but I'm pretty sure that's like the only like official track release really.
Oh wow!
And even then, like it wasn't. It was just put on YouTube. Like I don't think it was put on anywhere else.
Why the secrecy? Why not release a demo so people could hear it?
Well, again, I think we're not really asked kind of thing. That's probably like the best way to describe it. But it's just more a sense of it's all about performing live. Like we really enjoy performing live, and it's a really high energetic show. Like the singer always performs like off the stage, like with the people, and then the two drummers. Obviously, we have to perform on stage because we can't physically move around, without having some weird one-man band setup. Which could be worth looking into. I don't know.
It's definitely enticing me, though. I'm thinking because I really want to know what this band sounds like. So maybe it's a better thing not to release albums.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of videos on YouTube and that of like live performances and stuff. Yeah. But I think it's just more in the sense of like some of the songs are so daft and quite like noisy. I suppose like if people had the opportunity to listen to them all the time, they get sick of them kind of thing, and then we'd have to keep writing stuff. Yeah. So it's self-preservation, I suppose, to just get away with playing the same stuff. Yeah. But no, we play a lot of covers as well because like obviously a MIDI synthesizer lends itself very well to just loading MIDI files. So we'll just load random MIDI files and just like sort of either do covers of them or like we'll write songs based on those MIDI files. Yeah. Like with MIDI you can find like a big archive of all sorts of stuff. So just get a drink. Like a big archive of all sorts of music.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's a difference between sampling chiptune and using MIDI from the internet? Not trying to not trying to throw you under the bus or anything.
Sure, we're cancelled. Well, I don't know because it's like obviously if we're doing a cover, it's like everybody knows what it is. Yeah. And we're not sort of claiming it's our stuff. I don't know. Yeah. But again, because we're not like actively recording stuff and releasing it, we're just playing it live for the most part. So I guess like bands back in the day, like way before recorded music, they were probably doing loads of covers and stuff. We just never said, oh yeah, this is not a cover kind of thing.
Oh yeah, all like Huey Lewis and the News and all these famous bands, they all started doing like blues covers and stuff.
Yeah, it's like the Great American Songbook, isn't it? It's like just that type of thing. Yeah. So I don't think that's like by design of what we do, but we just don't really like because also the setup what we have is like it was two singers, now it's one singer. Yeah. So one singer, two drummers, and the MIDI synth. It doesn't really lend itself well to record stuff. Like that Pop Goblin video, it's just the recording of the MIDI file. Yeah. There's no live drums on that recording, so I think just because it's so difficult to recreate how we sort of want it to sound on recording, if that makes sense.
Yeah, when you're drumming, like what kind of drum kit do you have if you're standing up drumming?
So I've got like a snare drum, floor tom, and two normal toms. Okay. And then I've got like hi-hats and a crash or ride. I think I have both sometimes. Yeah. And then the other drummer, he has a floor tom, snare, hi-hats, and a ride as well. Okay. So it's all very like lo-fi, sort of not too much effort kind of thing. Okay. Like setting up can be done quite quickly, so that's always good. Because obviously the bulk of the setup's always the MIDI synthesizer, if that's like powerful enough for the end-use PA or whatever. Yeah. Like if there's a DI box, it's fine, but sometimes we'll play like smaller venues that's just like a restaurant or a cafe, and they obviously don't have any decent sound system, so that's always a fun one. Oh. Well, we did have a great. The last show we played was this pub. Like they really like us, so we played there a few times. Our power supply for the MIDI synthesizer broke we tried a spare one, that didn't work. So we were like, oh shit, we're fucked. Because like we hadn't recorded anything on a phone or whatever. So that was the only source. It was like that MIDI synth. So the venue owner said, just let me try something. So he ran to his house. He got the power supply from his wife's breast milk machine.
Wow.
Came back. I think it was a Yamaha one. I didn't realize Yamaha made them, but he came back with it, and we were like, "This isn't gonna work, surely." Yeah. He gave it us. We plugged it in, and sure enough, it worked. So we played a show with a breast pump power supply. So that was like, we were just we were just blown away. Like, we just didn't expect that to work at all.
Oh my God.
But it did, and we played the show, and obviously it was good. But yeah, no. It's weird because we don't really chase shows actively, or we don't really look for shows. There can be like periods of months where we're not playing.
Yeah.
And I've actually played China more than I've played Manchester with this band.
Okay.
Obviously, Manchester's like an hour's drive away, so it's a bit of a stranger one to say like, oh yeah, I've played China more than Manchester with this band. Yeah. So yeah, like again, like we just do it like just more. Honestly, it's like more about what makes us laugh and what we enjoy, and then if other people like it, that's like a bonus.
Yeah.
Like, but genuinely, like I know obviously loads of bands say that, but they don't mean it because they actually do discuss like marketing plans and stuff, all that shite, and we're just like, yeah, let's play the show, or let's start winding somebody up on Twitter, or let's do something.
Yeah, and
that's kind of it. Like, it is very sort of low key, just because. Again, if it's not entertaining us, then we're like, well, why bother?
And the danger is when you get bigger, there's like more tensions amongst your friends, and it kind of sucks, like when you're arguing with your friends about stupid shit that like that was never the purpose of the band in the first place, Yeah,
I think fun, again, I don't think there's ever been a point where we got even remotely close to like being, famous or whatever. Yeah. So I think before I joined, they've supported like Miss Dynamite at one point. I don't know if she was ever a thing in the US or Canada, but she was like quite a big name in the UK for a little bit. Okay. She wasn't at that time, but but again, like there's never been a point where we've never had like an agent sniffing around us, or we've never had like any sort of. I don't think we'd want to do it full time, just because I think we would probably wind each other up too much.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, it's just about enjoying ourselves, and yeah,
that's awesome, man. I know it's kind of it's inspirational, because I think a lot of people, they concentrate more on the product, like you're saying, as opposed to enjoying the process. Drinking the beers in the jam room with your buddies and stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap it up because it's been an hour and it's like fucking 1 a.m.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks for listening to me ramble for an hour.
Oh no, dude, it was super entertaining. Is there anything else you want to like plug, or is there anything you want to mention before we wrap this up, or where can people check you out?
Okay, so again, I'm trying to get off all social media, so it's not really the Organ Freeman. The Twitter handle is the Organ Freeman. Okay. So at the Organ Freeman, that's the Twitter page. There's a Facebook page as well, but that got deleted.
Oh god.
We don't know why that got deleted. Basically, Facebook just said, "Oh no, Facebook didn't even tell us." The singer messaged us to be like, "Can you go on our Facebook page? Can you see anything?" And we were like, "Oh no, it seems to have been deleted." So we thought it was like an accident. So we ended up having to like. Speak to Facebook sort of tech support and all that, and they just kind of said, "Oh yeah, it's been deleted." And we're like, "Well, why?" And they're like they couldn't tell us.
Oh wow!
So it was like a really strange sort of, well, why have we been deleted? There is another band called Organ Freeman who was set up after us.
Oh.
So, but they're trying to be a proper band. They're trying to play like big shows and all that. So we think it's them, but we don't know. Facebook kind of just said. It's deleted.
It was the Chinese government. That's what it was.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Obviously, we said something wrong, and it got deleted.
Hey, James, thank you very much. Thank you for doing this so last minute. I can't believe it. Like, it all turned out. My God, this is a good episode. We got some good tips on how to tour China. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll put all the links to James's projects. And that DJ Scotch Egg album is a seminal piece of electronic music history, I believe. And, subscribe and all that stuff. And take care and thanks and bye-bye. I'm just going to hang up on this thing now. Thank you for listening to the Bass Fug Podcast. Please check us out on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Add us all there. Leave a comment if you're listening to this on YouTube. If you could just leave a comment, tell us what you like, what you didn't like, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Just communicate with us what's going on. Share it with a friend. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, let us know. Hit us up. And we'll work you in because we just want to promote, cool new music and production. And even if you're like a promoter or you're writing a zine or something, we're just looking for it all. We just want to learn, You could visit the website, www.bassfug.com. That's BASSFUG.com. And that's where the blog is. So we aren't doing articles as much anymore. We're just going straight balls to the wall podcasting now. So thank you for checking us out and add us on social media and join us next time. Thank you. Bye.